Yeah.
Everybody make sure you turn your microphones on. All right, at 6:30, we'll call the meeting to order and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Chris, if you'll take roll, please.
Scott Meyer,
Here,
Dan Hughey,
excused.
Chris McCright here, Ed Brand,
Here.
and our newest member, Mike Kelty.
Here.
We do have a quorum. I'm looking for a motion to approve the meeting agenda.
Make a motion that we approve the meeting agenda.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. First item on the agenda. Welcome our new member, Mike Kelty, with the oath of office. World famous Miss Tanya Davis will administer said oath. You're looking for this?
There we go.
It's hard to believe I was in the know.
Okay, if you would, yeah. I, Mike Kelty,
I, Mike Kelty,
do solemnly swear that I will faithfully perform
do solemnly swear that I will faithfully perform
the duties of my appointed position
the duties of my position
on the Redevelopment Commission
on the Redevelopment Commission
and will support and honor,
and support and honor
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability
all applicable laws of the state of Indiana
all applicable laws of the state of Indiana
and the town of Fortville.
and the town of Fortville.
I hereby affirm that I will
I hereby affirm that I will
perform the duties of this public trust
perform the duties of trust
in a fair, equitable, and ethical manner.
in a fair, equitable, ethical manner.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
Okay.
You need to sign that and then I'll sign. Welcome aboard.
Congratulations, Mike. Glad to have you
Mike.
here.
Thank you, sir.
They did mention that you have to give us $20 a piece, right? All right. Well, we'll skip that, I guess. Next item on the agenda is consider approving minutes of August 21, 25.
Make a motion, we table the minutes till next meeting because of the missing members.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to table the minutes of August 21, 2025 until the next meeting. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 That item is tabled. Moving on, there is no old business. We'll move on to new business. Item A, RDC, consider a financial commitment for the improvements to Landmark Park.
All right. So for this particular item, if you recall, there was a presentation that was done before the RDC a few months ago, if I recall. I'm going to pull up that presentation just so we have that here. Bear with me a second while I take care of a couple IT things here.
We get paid by the hour.
All right, and let me try to zoom. Yes. All right. Here. All right, so with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Heath. Go to Heath. Give some background on the project and what the request is.
If you would, please state your name and affiliation.
Heath Luther, Parks Manager for the record. Came here today, obviously appreciate the time from you guys. Obviously Adam's kept you guys in the loop. You guys have seen some of these plans. Joe's kept you in the loop as well. The council has approved moving forward with the BOT, which we went through the process of the public hearings and the RFPs and put together a committee to look over those. And so we're at the point now from the Landmark Park project to start looking for funding. As you guys know, I know Scott, you live over there. Landmark Park is in, it's old, right? And it needs some work. And so one of the things that we're looking at doing, and I'll introduce Rebecca and Doug here in a minute to kind of go over the scope of the project, but we're looking at a big revamp for that park. I think it would be super beneficial for the TIF district in and of itself, with having the events that are going to continue to happen, even though the town is not necessarily hosting Winterfest or Summerfest anymore. Those events are still going on. Cammy's Cause, the Farm Festival, hopefully being able to bring back things like music in the park. And if we have the ability through this project to maybe even add, this gazebo that we're looking at doing to the fee schedule, that might be another source of income for the town as far as rentals, whether that's wedding or any other kind of venue that somebody would like to have a private party or something over there, birthday parties, being able to rent out the gazebo, that type of thing. So I'll come back up after these guys are done, but at the moment I will have Doug from Reynolds and Rebecca from HWC Engineering come up and kind of lay out kind of what we're looking at doing as far as the project's concerned.
Good evening. I'm Doug Tischbein with Reynolds Construction, and with me is Rebecca, who's with HWC, who's our design partner on this project. And just to give you a little bit of background, I think Adam might have some slides of a project we did previously in Memorial Park. So we went through a process of procurement, the same with build, operate, transfer procurement in the state of Indiana. And we were selected, and we looked at Memorial, and we did projects out there. It's a great asset for the community, but it was a little tired at the time that we got involved with it, which is the same as Landmark. So we refreshed it. We resurfaced the basketball courts, the tennis courts. We striped them for pickleball, which was an addition. We did security throughout the park. The shelter building, shelter house, I don't know if you've been in it since the renovation took place, but that was a major upgrade. We put some renewable energy on top of the community center. We replaced the old sport lighting at the ball fields with a Musco metal lighting system instead of the wood that was there, because you couldn't do any softball tournaments at night. So those are some of the major upgrades. And then in addition, this building got renovated and turned into what you currently have today through this process. And so we were asked to come and take a look at Landmark, and we've spent 45, 60 days as a team looking at several options on how we could refresh the park within a budget that Joe is pretty adamant about that we stay within. And so that's what we're working hard to do. Obviously, there's still some moving parts. There's still some design that needs to be completed, but we're narrowing in, and I think the budget has been set. So we're at a point now where we need to engage the design team on a full-time basis so that we can come back to you and say, or back to the administration and say, here's the budget, here's the scope, this is what we can do. And it's going to be, as he said, a really nice asset for the community that's going to be fresh. And I think it's going to be well used based on the improvements. So I'm going to hand it over to Rebecca, and she's going to talk about where we are in the design currently and what some of the inclusions are based on the work we've done over the last couple of months.
Hey, really quickly, before you end it, Doug, could you explain briefly to the commission the function of the build, operate, transfer methodology and what the advantages are for the town in doing it this way?
Sure can. BOT's actually been around since the 80s, but I think over the last 3 to 4 years, it's really become a really good procurement tool for municipalities. And we're seeing it being used more and more. It's a design, build, procurement structure that's based on cost plus. So it gives you the ability to select a contractor based on qualifications. And the benefits of BOT is the transparency and the pricing, the transparency and the numbers. It's the opportunity for the owner, the engineering team, and the contractor to sit down at the same table and build a project together. So you know that the desired outcome is what you guys have chosen to include in your project. And I think the benefits there are no change orders because everybody's involved with the design of it. We're hearing your input as to what's important for the community and what these assets should look like. And it's just so different than like on a typical design bid build project where you wait 30 days, the bids come in and you're way over budget. So what do you do now? Well, typically you cancel the bids and you go reduce the scope of work, you value engineer, and you put it back out to bid. BOT, all that happens during the initial procurement process. So that's kind of what BOT is in the state of Indiana, and that's the value it brings to municipalities. And that's this building and the other park that we did. Any questions on BOT?
Not for me, Ed.
Okay, so then Rebecca's going to talk about what we have today.
Yep. So like Doug said, we're at the conceptual design level. So we have not moved into actual construction documentation yet because we need survey and geotech and those sorts of information. So this is a conceptual level plan for the park. So as far as improvements for the park, we're looking at parking improvements here, as well as pedestrian circulation throughout the park. So one of the main things that we heard was we wanted to increase the sidewalks to be wider so more people can move on the sidewalks. So we're putting 8-foot sidewalks here. Another big thing was wanting to replace the gazebo. It's the main feature in the park. So that's what we have shown here is a new gazebo that's also larger. And the idea would be that you could either put picnic tables under there during the day when it's not being used, but then those picnic tables can be moved and then it can be programmed in other ways, like to have music in the park, like Heath was saying, or to host a wedding or anything that you can really think of. You can even have crafts for programming in the parks department. So things like that. So really thinking about that design level. It also has circulation around it, which is kind of nice. You don't have to go through the gazebo. So just really making that grander. One other thing that was really important was having accessibility in the park. So we really thought about that from an accessible entrance down here and thinking about how a person travels from the accessible parking to the spaces. So the idea is that accessible parking would be here near the front of the site and they would travel through here. So all of this would be at a grade that is ADA accessible, including the gazebo area. And there is some grade change in there, so I'm going to explain that a little bit. But so all of this would be accessible through here to the playground and to these amenities through here. And same with this path. This path would also be accessible. Then we would use some terracing in the lawn to achieve grade change as well as that over here. We're showing to relocate the memorial. So the existing memorial is over here right now. So we're planning to relocate that and better situate it and increase the landscaping around it as well to open up this area for future events. preserving as many trees as we possibly can. We love to preserve and keep mature trees in the park. We also have the playground improvements here. So again, keeping with that accessibility, this would be a poured in place surfacing or artificial turf, depending on what we get through in design, to be an accessible surfacing. With a tire structure and some support like structures like swings or spinners and those things. Then we have the pavilion here, which will have restrooms. I'm assuming unisex restrooms on either side, as well as some storage in the center. And then some open air pavilion space underneath that as well. We also are showing a fitness court studio. This is a specific product. It's kind of like off the shelf thing where it has actual fitness equipment on one side where people can go and exercise. And then the other side can be programmed to do like yoga or Zumba or those sorts of things as well. So that's kind of what that is. We have some seating around that. We've also put a couple parking over here on this side, just so people who want to use the fitness court studio can come and park on this side instead of having to park over here. And it also has an accessible parking space on this side as well. Another thing that we were going to do is have a bridge. So the existing bridge over this drainage ditch is in need of improvements. So that would also be a part of this project, is replacing that bridge, fabricated bridge, or another option as we get through design. We are also making some improvements to the entrance signage here as well. And I think that's all on the site plan.
Now, when you say exercise equipment, what are you talking about?
It's
Stationary equipment that's built into the structure itself. So people have the ability to bring like their own workout mats and stuff like that, but there's correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a process based on the equipment that comes with that system that's going to be permanent fixtures on that pad.
The weather.
Yeah, all waterproof and yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing that's been recently talked about was extending kind of the sidewalk and the parking areas from the bridge to the park. So that's a new development, but that's still in the process of being determined and estimated. So that's, I think, the only thing that's kind of new that's not currently on the drawing.
Is the new gazebo in the same place as the old one?
Yeah.
So it's all relative to, the only thing you're moving is the memorial.
correct. And there's some plaques in the park that some of these existing tiles are kind of winding in here, so we're kind of straightening those up and making it a little more direct. And so there's some existing plaques about the park that we're going to preserve, salvage, and then relocate along the path where they already are. But we're just, because we're replacing all the sidewalks and making them wider, we'd have to relocate those two along the path. So those are the only two items, that we would be relocating.
So this plan, there's no improvement in parking spaces?
There's potentially more parking areas in between the extension of that sidewalk to the bridge.
Okay.
If, when we do that, and then we've got additional parking, which may stay in based on budget constraints over here. If the fitness area goes away, the parking can still stay. So those are kind of some moving targets that we're still kind of working through.
You may have mentioned this in other conversations, but is the fitness open air?
It
Or
is,
it's in the bathrooms, are they 12 months a year accessible or?
yes.
Yeah.
There'll be 2 unisex bathrooms with storage in the middle for Heath and his team to put tables and chairs or equipment.
Yes, like a porch, like a porch.
Yeah, so there's a covered overhang. So if moms and families, while the children are playing on the new playground, they have an area to get out of sun and kind of be protected from the elements. Or your festivals will give you some seating opportunities as well.
So back when we did our public survey, and I know Heath, you were part of that, and it was run by a kind of a different group of people. Was that fitness center really high on the list of wants?
So that fitness center came up after the fact. And again, this plan that they're showing is not necessarily finality. We have talked about, and this just happens to be the latest concept. I I think more importantly, right now, we're talking about the parking. And updating that along here. Yeah, as you guys know, you live right there. It's gravel, right?
Mhm.
Turning that into actual parking right there with the sidewalk accessible off the bridge and down to these sidewalks, to tie that all in. From a budget perspective, this was kind of a wish list item. It wasn't necessarily a let's keep it in here type item. I've had some people say that they would use it quite frequently. Yoga studios in town, this space over here is used almost like an open area space for like yoga in the park and that type of thing. But from that perspective, that previous conversation was really focused on just kind of the music venue. It wasn't really focused on everything else. And so from our perspective, if we're going to do something as a town, we need to try and do what kind of the public, and we're working through our parks plan right now, by the way. I don't know if many of you guys know that, but we're hoping the first meeting in October, it should be ready for public comment. And then we're hoping by the first meeting in November to be able to adopt our new parks plan that hasn't been done in 25-ish years. So we're working through that with a different consulting company right now. But to answer your question in short, yes and no. I mean, it was brought up, but it's not a do or die type situation as far as that's concerned.
And then, you're familiar with my relationship with the veterans organizations in the town.
Yes, sir.
As a veteran, my concern would be are we enhancing that memorial any?
Yes. So my understanding of it is not only will that memorial be moved, there will be actual seating and stuff around that memorial. As it sits right now, it's just kind of placed where it is in the park, and there's a couple of tall grasses around it. It's going to be manicured and set up in a way that's, for lack of better examples, probably like if you guys have been to the one in Greenfield, more of kind of a sitting, reflecting area, and moving it away from kind of this area kind of keeps that tranquility of it, and being able to allow people to access that directly from the parking lot right there and not have kind of offshoots. One of the things in here, and I know they mentioned the sidewalks, a lot of the existing sidewalks will be ripped out. The fountain that's there, the old fountain, is gone. That is where that kind of terraced grass seating would be.
Yeah.
And so it kind of turns it into more of a user-friendly seating area out here. But with that memorial really being the focus over here and having things around it that are going to be more beneficial to people that want to sit there and reflect.
Also think of like some, making the, like a stand. Just thinking about stand concrete around the gazebo, so we.
Just some early conversations. I know both organizations, the V and the Legion, had discussions on fundraising to help with that particular portion of the project. So if it's still in concept, it might be worth having a discussion with both those organizations on helping with some fundraising and maybe even a little input into what that looks like. So that those organizations are, excited about it and might help you raise some money
For sure.
for that part of it.
Any other questions for these guys?
That bridge, does it still have a toll where I collect money?
Fundraising.
No. Fundraising for, I live on the other side of that bridge, that's all. So I have to fire my troll. He's gonna be disappointed. But he's almost 5, so he'll be all right. It's my grandson. I make him stand up there and collect quarters from
It's
everybody.
about 50 foot by 6 foot. If you go down to the other park, you'll see something that very close to it.
Anybody else got any questions?
Yeah, Heath, I guess this is more for you, and this will probably come in maybe your future Parks Department discussions, you said later this year, but you're going to be well equipped, have the resources available, obviously with new park, new equipment to keep everything looking good.
Yeah, that's a fair question. Absolutely. I mean, the goal for us, and this is one thing that Joe and I have been adamant about, not just with this project, but pretty much any project moving forward, is we're trying to do the best that we can from a project perspective to make it the least amount of maintenance, right? We were having the conversation about the bathrooms, and one of my things is I want to be able to have things like stainless steel, restrooms, and holes in the floor, drains in the floor that we can come in and clean properly and do those types of things. From a landscaping perspective, I've had that conversation with, HWC about, when we do if this project comes to fruition, the landscaping is such that's not going to require a ton of time, right? Like it's going to require time. It's no more time than we spend over there now trimming trees and, doing all those different things over there. So I don't necessarily expect any bigger of a workload from that perspective. And frankly, the playground itself, while that does need to be inspected, new equipment also means it's a lot easier to maintain some of that older stuff at this point in time. You can't find replacement pieces for the slides and the old swings. And so it's much easier to maintain the newer stuff than it is the older stuff.
Has there been some consideration to the security, like videos or cameras?
Correct. So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we've talked about this, and I'm not sure, I haven't looked at the line items yet, but we do have 4 cameras over there already currently. We will probably look at add 1 or 2 cameras based on just kind of location and how things would be set up. Currently right now, like we've got eyes on the gazebo, we've got eyes going both directions, east and west on the sidewalk that connects the dead end of Church and Church Street. And then we've got eyes near Stat Street looking back near the gazebo and towards the park. So one of the things that we'd like to do is make sure, it sounds crazy, but having eyes on the playground itself, really from a vandalism standpoint, yes, but from a liability standpoint, if something happens to, a child or, a teenager screwing around and doing something they're not supposed to over there, and we've got at least some way to be able to see if what actually was said happened. So, yes, that is most definitely anywhere that we've put in new items in the park, not just Landmark, but Memorial Park. All of our newer assets have camera coverage on them. The shelter house, the tennis courts, the basketball courts, the dog park. And it really has made a tremendous impact on the number of issues. It's still cyclical and we still get them, but it has made an impact on the number of issues that we've had in and around Memorial Park in particular. So yes, we've had those conversations.
Any other questions? Mike, Chris?
So one of the things that, and I know Doug touched on it a little bit, I believe we're shooting for a $2 million budget or less is what the goal is. And so the hope is that the RDC can, have a conversation and see if this is something you guys would be willing to help fund, and move on, see where we need to go then financially once we get a commitment from the RDC of where we need to pick up some slack, if we need to pick up any. That's really why we're here. Obviously, you guys know about this, have known about this project, but we wanted to come in with a little bit more details and let everybody know that we're at the point now where we're ready to move forward as soon as we can with this. So.
Oh, I thought you started with Joe was paying for everything. He said Joe's budget. I just assumed he had his checkbook out.
And what I can tell you from the park side too, just parks budget in general, we are pretty tied up with projects for the foreseeable future. We have been, we're looking at restrooms. I know, talking with Beth and our third-party accountant, one of the issues within Memorial Park are the nasty old restrooms. And so we've been saving money. We just had our budget, open hearing the other day. And, I'm trying to put back money to be able to redo the restrooms in Memorial Park. And so we're pretty thin when it comes to actual budget money from the park itself. And major capital outlays project. Obviously, we've got some things. I don't know if anybody's noticed. They showed the overhead of the basketball courts that Reynolds did a couple years ago. But if anybody's been over there, we've got 4 new basketball hoops as of last week that are look really good and are used nightly. So, but again, that was a $14,500 project coming out of the budget. So, we're going to continue to try and do those things when we've got the money. But, you know, this type of project itself, the Parks Department from a budget perspective just needs help.
I understand it's all contingent probably on financing. but
Correct.
Everything falls into place. What kind of timeline are you talking about?
I believe right now the tentative timeline was to try and get through this process and hopefully break ground March of 26.
First quarter of next year for construction to start.
In completion?
Before the end of the summer, I think. It's kind of hard to say that because we don't have a defined scope of work quite yet. Right, so we need to, HWC is, everybody's been at risk so far, you know, putting together the data and details that we could provide to the town and RDC. So now we need to have authorization to move forward to really start engineering and design. We've got some geotech we got to do, we've got some surveying we need to get done, so that's somewhat lengthy process, so that's what we're looking for, maybe approval tonight to just start that. We get the budget set, we get the scope set, we'll come back to you and say, construction start a little bit earlier and maybe we're done midsummer. So that's kind of what our goal is to give you that level of detail.
Adam, will this be a bonding issue?
No, I think and correct me if I'm wrong. Well, I mean, a bond is always an option, but I think what was intended was straight up cash from the RDC account. Is what the request is. So
Cash flow, how much? And that, his projection includes South Madison? What we might need there?
Yeah, we had that discussion as well. That's part of the bond.
We would bond South Madison, yeah. That wouldn't require any cash. Like a cat.
Now, if I understand, there's a lot of things coming down from the state that may impact our income on our TIF district. I think we ought to take that into consideration too.
So is your ask, you're asking us for $2 million?
I mean, in short, yeah. You know, I don't know from a project perspective how we can move forward. We can start looking at different avenues. But the first stop was to the RDC, given that I think the ability to draw in people in and around town would have an impact within that kind of downtown area business district. And I think that's something that will be very beneficial. And so that's why you guys are first stop in this process.
And we've, Adam or Joe, someone has had the conversation with Alex or our legal.
Yeah, actually, part of the conversation that I had with Buzz and Alex is all the projects that we're working on currently with the RDC, the South Madison project, this Parks project, the funding that will be adjusted with next year's revenue source for the RDC, that took all this into account. So we're good with the funding of this, even knowing what's coming forward.
So you say we were talking about Buzz. Buzz has reviewed everything and he feels like we're comfortable.
He has. In fact, if you'll remember, there's been a few meetings back. We talked about some of the possible projects that the RDC could help fund. The traffic light was one, the South Madison Street project, the Parks project, 2 sewer major lift station, regional lift station projects. As it turns out, one of the regional lift stations that we were looking at, we've got a developer coming in that's going to take down all the property. So we're going to let them build the entire lift station and sewer. So we're not going to be asking any funds for that. And then also the Southern Regional Lift Station, we've already worked out the numbers with Buzz and we've got the money on hand. It was like a $3.6 million project that we're going to fund using sewer funds. So we're not going to be asking the RDC for those funds either at this time.
If we can, don't want to bore you guys with this, but just a real quick on our financial commitments and statement, it shows 2026, the projected RDC income half of what it was in 2025.
That is correct.
Why is that?
That had something to do with some programming and stuff in the way that the county was calculating the funds. So going forward, as of next year, they'll be reduced down to what those new numbers are.
So the 800 is going to be the more realistic number?
Correct.
So down at the bottom of this sheet here, it says that we have available funds of 3.9, right? Available.
I don't have that.
Correct. That's correct.
At 2.
And I think you're still expected to get another 800 this year toward the fall. Is that correct? Is that number?
Yeah.
In that ballpark.
Close to 800.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think that's looked thin.
I can't speak for the entire commission. I mean, I can speak my share. I like the idea of most of that project. I think my only concern is, and no offense, I'd like to have Buzz come in and tell us that it's okay and show us how it's okay. That's my only take, and it's, these gentlemen have their own opinion and what they want. If you guys are comfortable, make a motion. I have no issue with it. I don't want to blow all our money on one project, but we have funds we need to use. There's no doubt about that.
May I ask a question? So I understood from your initial conversation that you weren't interested in the entire lump sum tonight. You were interested in some funds to start pursuing some things. Is that accurate or no?
It's to initiate, it's to continue the completion of the engineering and design so we can get drawings and specifications in place so that we can start receiving bids and proposals from contractors to do this work.
And how much is that?
150,000.
And what, if we were to commit to that, does that commit us then to the entire project?
So we have a, it's a memorandum of understanding, notice to proceed document in front of the town that allows you to break away in the event that something catastrophically happens and you pay a certain amount based on that milestone where we are in the process. And I don't know what those numbers are, but it adds up to about 150 if we get through. I think it's like $100,000 if we get the 70% design. And you say, sorry, we don't have the money, we're breaking away, you pay us $80,000, we say thank you, and unfortunately the project doesn't get built. So those backstops are in place based on the MOU notice to proceed that we've the council's authorized Joe to authorize based on your approval tonight. So you do have a breakaway opportunity.
No, I'm trying to reach out to Buzz and he's not responded yet. I don't know if I'd be able to get him to log into the Zoom meeting. But would it be possible with the project to just do a notice to proceed with each section? Do a notice to proceed with only the design and the construction drawings, and then before we go into construction?
Before you answer, Tyler was trying to say something.
I was just gonna say, I'm here on Alex's behalf. I can't speak to the exact financials. I certainly haven't reviewed them. But I know Alex had said to me he had no issue with it, but I also understand if you need us to come into the next meeting and present. I can't speak for Alex since he's not present, but I'm sure he'd be willing to do that if need be.
And I'm sorry, Tyler, what would Alex be speaking about?
You would ask for Bose to come in and
Oh,
address.
no, I'm sorry, Buzz.
Oh my God, I'm an idiot. I'm sorry. Kept hearing Bose. I'm like, I'm here if you need
We're
me.
not to ask Alex's opinion much. No, I'm just kidding. No, Buzz Crone.
My
CPA.
apologies. I kept hearing Bose.
Yeah, no, it's all good. All right, now,
So we've tried to define the milestones the best that we can based on design in the MOU. So, there are certain breakaway milestones that are defined in the document that creates a dollar value in the event that happens. I don't know, because sometimes that certain phases of design run into another phase and it's kind of a continuum, right? So it's hard to say that I could just stop here, stop there, because I know these guys and their teams, they're gonna have people doing surveying and geotech over here. These guys are gonna be looking at gazebo and excavation. And then I got guys over here doing playground stuff. So how do I put an umbrella over all of that and say, okay, you wanna stop on this date, here's the value of it. So we did the best we could based on the document that we have.
Is the 2 million for all three phases?
Yes.
It is. And for Joe, and I know I don't want to put you on the spot, but where did you get the 2 million budget? Is that off previous?
2 million is actually the very first, I don't know if this thing doesn't sound like it's picking up very well. The very first project that came in that was presented to the town a couple years ago was $3 million. So our goal, when we went back to look at it, we tried to get all of the same features that was included in the original plan at a lower price. So we were hoping that we could get it quite a bit lower, and then working with Doug, trying to come up with some rough numbers. And as we kept adding things into it, such as the workout facility, that was like $300 and some thousand that we originally didn't look at. So those were just some rough numbers that I had gotten from Reynolds as far as building what we've already.
the 3 million included a gazebo, right? Included, or not, but the band area,
Correct.
the amphitheater. Thanks.
Right.
Big words that get me.
Yeah,
So 3 million included that amphitheater.
correct.
Okay. That little workout center is $300,000.
You,
Expensive, but it does have, a nicer features, like the roofing has like this better thing, like where that piece of playground, it's a little bit higher quality than I say. It's like
and I don't think it was mentioned when they were talking about the playground earlier, but it is all that rubber
Mhm.
backing as far as rather than having mulch or pea gravel like is out there now. So it's
Oh, yeah.
more of a permanent, softer surface.
So we could effectively move forward with the project in committing to that 150,000, which gives us time to meet with Buzz and get more comfortable with our budget. Is that
I think that's
true?
an option.
And this is, again, just me. I like the project, as I've already stated, but to come in and ask for half the money we have, I don't think that's a 15-minute decision. Not for me. If it is, I'm one person. They can make a motion and vote it and pay it. That's entirely up to them. I'm just one person speaking, but
Yeah, the other avenue we could go is, as a commission, if we have a number in mind that we would like them to not, obviously, we don't want them to go back and reinvent the wheel here, but if it's just removing, although I'd love to see you doing yoga out there, Scott, if we need to remove the sports
I
court,
can send you videos.
if it's 1.5 million instead, see if they can work within those parameters. If there's a number that we feel more comfortable, pledging. But again, I'm not sure if we can come up with that in 5 minutes here.
Well, someone has to make a motion.
if I can make a recommendation, not a motion.
Absolutely, yeah, yes, yeah, you're,
Suggest there's some other hard costs that need to be, that we need to acquire for survey and geotech and core borings. So I would say instead of the 150, if you could bump it to 175, because there's some ancillary costs that are going to be included that aren't included in their fees at this time. So I just asked for another 25,000, just do a not to exceed in your motion at 175, then I think we're good with that.
Mike, where you at?
With the limited knowledge that I have, and it was a great presentation. I'd really like to get the town councils and the town's opinion, but I know we can't do that here. You know, see if it's something that you guys are in favor of.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
the
they
council's
actually
already
approved it.
So, and I agree with you that 2 million is a big chunk of change, no matter where you're from. But, and I'd hate to spend $175,000 and then cut it off and stop it altogether, but I'd rather do that than commit 2 million to a project that probably may not be something we want to commit to. I'd rather do the 175 than the 2 million if it were decided right now.
Chris, where you at?
I'm all for improving and revamping our parks. It's a lot of money, but I'm the first to admit that $1 million doesn't go very far in today's world, and even 2 million, may not go that far either. It's a lot of money. I'm okay with allowing them to proceed with the 175. Even if that 175 turns into 200,000, I understand there's some additional cost that you guys may incur.
If we come back with 1.5 or 1.6, some number, this commission decided that 175 is part of that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I throw in again? The 175, does it get you to our next meeting where we may have more information? Or
So if Buzz is going to come in next month, or can
We
you
can ask him to, yeah.
do a special meeting and just kind of get this behind us so we can just kind of move forward with, the longer we wait, time is money, right? If we know that, we've already seen price increases on gazebos and playgrounds and that kind of stuff. There's a lot of still tariff scare out there. So the sooner we can start buying out the project and getting money in distributors and suppliers and manufacturers' hands, the more secure the budget's going to be. So that's our goal, is protect you from those types of increases in the short time that we can do that. I don't want to wait until HWC is complete, because that's going to take us probably into first quarter. So we got to get to a number. You need to feel secure with Buzz, and he says, yep, no problem on the 2. We hope it's going to be less than that. We can always reduce the scope to get to 1.5, but I think you need to just get secure with a $2 million threshold at this point.
Ed, where you at? I'm sorry, Chris, where you done?
I'm good.
With this type of, I'm like everybody, I'm happy for the project, I'm all for it. The money issue bothers me. I think we ought to table this until Buzz is here and talk to him person to person and see where we need to go and see if that will work out.
Are you not okay with the 175?
I'll go along with that.
Okay. Someone's got to make a motion.
I'll do it.
You can't. And I think what I'm hearing from the entire commission is, I don't think there's a problem with the money. We just need to hear it from
Fully understand.
Buzz, and everybody sitting out there knows how I talk. I speak very plainly. I don't see $300,000 in a workout center, pad, but I love everything else. And I guess I'm a little partial to the new bridge, because I see kids playing on that, and I know it's sturdy, but I'd love to see something better out there.
So Scott,
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion that we approve the $175,000 to start the project. And we reconvene next month with the expert, get some approvals.
So we have a motion for 175,000 to get the project started.
Second.
There we go. Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
And Joe, I don't know if there's a way for us,
Thank
if
you.
we're even allowed, Tyler can tell us, if we're able to do a Zoom call with Buzz. I don't know that it has to be an official, if we can meet sooner than that,
I mean, you could all meet, but well. And my mic on. Probably can't meet outside of a public meeting that way, but we could always have him zoom in at the next RDC meeting
Okay.
or come in. So as long as he's on Zoom, you can get the information from him.
Okay.
But
Well, I
yeah,
want to
he
help
did,
them with their timeline, but
Sure, no, I get it. And I appreciate,
okay.
you know, this at least gets them rolling on.
Yeah, we
it. I
can-
think it's reasonable.
We can probably have Buzz come in person.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care if he's on the screen or.
Yeah.
If he can't come in, if he can at least attend.
I'm sure he'd be happy to.
All right, so that's done. RDC consider authorizing payment for the facade repair grant for 411 South Merrill. Yes, sir. Please state your name and relationship to the project.
See you all again. My name's David Bach. I'm owner at BB Realty on Harmony Dentistry, one of the owners. Good to see you all again. And Mike, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So last year we came for a facade grant for redoing the outside of 411 South Merrill. And we've come to a point where we've completed all that work. So we've come back to basically close out that request.
Do you want to check?
Hopefully.
We were just kidding. We don't have any money. We just spent $2 million almost. So what was the original approved amount, Adam? You have
It
that?
was, what was pledged by the RDC was 29,670. And that was done at the April 2025 meeting.
29,670.
Correct.
Oh, is it on that one? I missed it. Oh, yeah, there it is. Well, I think the place looks great. But I need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we pay Cohan's Exterior LLC the remaining amount of the agreement.
Of how much?
Oh, I know it.
29,670.
Huh?
29,670.
$29,670.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion to approve the 29,670 be paid out. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Fine job.
Thank you.
Review of financials. So Adam, I don't know if you can address this or I guess Joe left, but what's going on with our payments? I've had a handful of phone calls that we're going to have to pay money back and there was an error in what the county did in our payments. What do you know about it?
Sure. So we were notified just a couple of weeks ago that, and this is consistent with what Joe was just saying, but just to give you a little bit more information, the auditor's office contacted us. And first and foremost, there was no error that was done whatsoever on behalf of the town or any of our consultants. The CPAs that were working on behalf of the county discovered that there was an incorrect calculation in the software as we understand it, and it was capturing residential TIF revenue, which, as you know, it should only be capturing commercial and industrial. So to that end, the problem has been fixed. And what it will mean for the town is that, as we said, we'll probably get somewhere closer to 800,000 for 2026. What we will also most likely do in the coming months is pull out the residential areas out of the TIF to make sure that the problem doesn't happen again. And another important thing to note is that Fortville is not alone in terms of facing the impact of this problem. It impacted quite heavily the Hancock County TIF, other TIFs within Hancock County, and then apparently other counties as well in Indiana. So that is where we are at, and that's our understanding of the situation. And again, the forecast that I was told was about 800,000 in total TIF revenue in 2026.
So picking your brain on, isn't this the same thing we went through a few years ago?
I don't recall
Where
that.
we actually had to, I thought we had to give money back. And I don't remember what that was, but I thought that was residential being collected.
I don't recall that during my
Yeah.
tenure here since 2017, one way or the other.
So,
So,
and
yeah, I again, I can't speak to that. It was not suggested of us. It was not directed one way or the other. So
does that mean from your knowledge that in 2025, if we get 1.7, in 2026, we get 800, is that going to be the standard then? 800? And have we been overpaid? Are we going to owe any money back?
That's a great question.
For 22, 23, 24?
Again, I don't have an answer to that question. It has not been, no one has indicated that to us.
Because that obviously, and again, I didn't want to throw that out to everybody, but that obviously impacts our ability to pay out 1.5 or $2 million.
So all that including the part and everything, everything. Press can say that.
And then,
But I don't think that they're asking for anybody to pay it back, not at this point. It just, you have to move forward somewhere.
well, but we need to move forward correctly. And I'm a little frustrated that I had 3 phone calls before I heard from anyone else that there was a problem with our TIF money.
You just heard about
And I heard about it Monday night and Tuesday morning and Tuesday afternoon and Wednesday morning. Everybody calling me, freaking out about it. So I'm a little disappointed that nobody on this commission was notified about it. Because it's the money we're supposed to oversee. And now everybody knows that we've been overpaid except us. Right, but you understand my concern that we have,
Well, and
do we have 3.9 million or not?
Again, all I can say
Nobody's
is,
telling us.
the other thing too is when we just recently became aware of the problem.
Right.
And we wanted, and we're also providing this information publicly that we know. I would also say that the numbers that came in, all those numbers get certified. They get certified by the auditor. They get certified by DLGF. So in some sense, we're kind of we're bringing bad news.
Right.
But we also want to provide accurate news, and we don't want to slander any company or any individual or anything. So again, we want to provide it in a measured way. And in fact, at the last council meeting, that was the first publicly available meeting where we were able to even provide the information. And I felt it was in everybody's best interest, to be honest, and know about that going forward. So we fully intended on bringing it up as part of staff comments if it didn't come up during this landmark or Memorial Park landmark conversation. So I'm glad it did. So my apologies if it didn't come out soon enough, but the goal is to be as transparent as possible.
So I excuse my ignorance on this. So the TIF funds that were overpaid, were those funds that were diverted from somebody, some other account? Or were they simply overpaid?
Well, as I understand it, the most important thing is that the taxpayer did not pay too much in taxes. So
that answers half.
So that's really important to know. It's an issue of what units of government received some of those proceeds. So simply put, the TIF revenue that we receive from the county is supposed to be based on commercial and industrial assessed value within a geographic area, the geographic TIF district. And so we would have no reason to believe that they weren't calculating it based on that, on the way the law requires it. So
The hand that didn't get it.
yes,
Is not going to come back and say.
Well, so here's what we don't know. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have an answer to that question. Nobody, like I said, nobody has told me that anybody's gonna have to pay anything back. And it also, I don't have any numbers on what other agencies could have gotten money. I have none of that. The only conversation that the auditor explained to us is that this is what your number is going to be for 2026. And I give them credit for letting us know early as well. The auditor, was it Deborah Carnes, I think? Yeah, she had told us as soon as she found out about it as well. We had a Zoom meeting. So it was about trying to gather as much information as we could, make sure we have accurate information, then disseminate it. So she wanted to give us a heads up about that for this very reason.
I quite honestly, I blew the whole thing off because it sounded just, and I don't know what I'm thinking of, but we had to pay back. It was a small amount, relatively speaking, like $20,000 or $25,000. It was overpaid to us that we had to give back, and everybody was fine with that. So when I had these phone calls, I said, there can't be that many residential properties in the TIF district that we collected funds on.
No, if my memory serves me right on this, is what you're referring to is that had to do with a bond payment, if I recall. And Missy would know.
I thought this had something to do with collecting TIF on residential.
I thought it had to do
it's not really relevant.
Yeah, it had to do with.
So I blew the whole thing off thinking it can't be that much money.
But in any event.
Because there's not that much residential inside our TIF unless it's repurposed or rezoned. But
to your point, Scott, there's $900,000 difference.
That's why I'm a little more upset now than I was earlier. It's
that's
900,000 is a little more than maybe the 80 I was thinking. I
will definitely say this, it was extremely disappointing to hear this when we had the Zoom call. And we tried to raise all the same questions basically that you're raising now. So I think the only way of looking at it is that the number that you're seeing there reflects the true and accurate number of what it should be. going forward. And
Hmm.
of course, growing off of that.
And there may be a possibility, but something. And
I don't know.
Well, and
Well, I'm wondering if they're recovering that, because that delta of 900,000 is a lot, you know, it's been cut in half, over half.
you'd hope
And
that's
I'm
the
wondering if
recuperation.
that's the recovery method to pay back, to Mike's point, the other hand.
Now, the other, there is one small bright spot, is that what ends up happening is as a result of the assessed value of the whole TIF essentially going down because of this, and woven in with property tax caps, is it will actually put less pressure on the general fund for the town. Because don't forget, the town via the general fund is another one of those units that receives money. So lastly, there is an interplay between the tax rate, which changes every single year based on the budget of the town council, that the town council adopts. So those numbers are correlated.
Well, I would just ask that as you hear these things, please share it with this commission so we.
And absolutely, and that's certainly what we're trying to do now. I was not aware that you received any phone calls about it. I didn't hear about that either.
Yeah, word spreads quickly. We all know that. Oh, it was fun. So that's a review of financials. Next, we have invoices.
make a motion that we approve the invoice to CW Waste Service for $1,726.64.
Oh, second.
Motion and a second to approve the 172664 for waste services. Is this the final one for the
house.
Cleanup.
the cleanup?
Yes, so
Okay.
I'm told.
Any other discussion?
We'll have to get on Joe for overloading those boxes.
14 tons. Yeah. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we've got public comment. Public? All right. Staff comments.
Yes, just one item that I wanted to bring up, consistent with what I had mentioned via email that I was going to talk about, is since we're looking at these numbers and reduced revenue, I took a look at the liabilities spreadsheet again. And one number that stuck out was the Vernon Township Library retention pond, that if you recall, the township library was going to relocate to a new facility near the township building. Unfortunately, that project is not happening. The library board informed Vernon Township about that, and then the Vernon Township accepted that understanding. So that whole retention pond, the funding for that was related to the need for a library, and that was the town's way of assisting that project. So what I would recommend doing is making a motion to formally withdraw that pledge of $271,134 that was made in July 2023. And then also, if something changes in the future, you guys are always free to add another pledge back in, but for now, it makes sense to delete that item off our chart.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to remove the Vernon Township Library retention donation of $271,134 that was pledged in 7/20.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Any other staff comments?
Nope, that's it for me, unless you have questions, or anything else.
Anybody have anything for Adam? Board comments?
Nope.
Mike? Nope. All right, look for a motion to adjourn at 7:39.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thanks, Tyler.
Yeah, not my best work there.
Yeah, you're right.
I hope everybody got a laugh.
No, it's completely understandable. It was in both.
I already texted Alex and he said he's done worse, so I'll take it.
All right, take care.
Yeah, have a good one.